Hey everyone, welcome to Myopia Movies. This week we're talking about a film we've done before, a revisiting of Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet. A, Baz Luhrmann movie, so it's all over the place. It's got a weird and interesting cast set in, they say Verona, but it's very much Mexico. And it's, it's kind of, sort of what gave us Baz Luhrmann for the first time. Be prepared to hear us talk about the Sunscreen song and just kind of hang out. This is a very casual episode because we all know Romeo and Juliet, so it's more free association, but still, a lot of fun. And as we continue into season 11, we appreciate you. So thanks for everything you do. Keep listening, subscribing, recording. You should start a podcast too. Give us competition. But reviewing is the word I was looking for. Thanks, everyone.
I was the friar in Romeo.
Pete Postlethwaite.
Yeah. I in college I had to.
Father Lawrence or Friar Lawrence.
They didn't shave my head, but I had to keep it low, and then they put a bald cap on me just to keep that.
Well, you got to keep it low with a bald cap, otherwise you look.
Yeah. Now, shout out because I had to do my own makeup, so I had to that was a cool thing. About being a theater major, I know how to do makeup, stage makeup at least.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, Savannah. I think for Halloween, I was a pirate and I got makeup stuff. Savannah was surprised. I was like, I didn't know you to do makeup. I was like, just do my. Yeah, I know how to do it pretty well. I was just. Yeah.
He had a goth phase, pretty strong goth phase.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I had a hopeless romantic phase.
God, can you imagine?
Me.
Let's just roll into it.
Was that emo?
Yeah.
For me, it was. The year was 2004.
Oh, but Nemo.
Nemo.
Yeah.
Finding Normo.
Finding Normo.
Yeah.
Welcome to Myopia Movies. We've rolled into an episode.
Oh, okay.
Why not? You're editing this. Hell, fuck it.
That's true. That's true.
Take Their Life. I'm your host, Nick Hoffman, River on Cineprov, and on panel we've got
Kieko.
Nor Chernette, as we know, hopeless romantic.
Alex, what's up?
We are doing our second Shakespearean adaptation, but the first one is 10 Things I Hate About You, which is actually just an interpretation. This is an honest-to-God straight episode. However, we have done this before. For those of you who have not been listening to us for 10 years, which this is now, we're in our 11th season. We did this in season 1. I believe it was a former co-host, Jade, suggestion. But we've done a Baz Luhrmann interpretation of Romeo plus Juliet. I say plus Juliet every time because if you search Romeo and Juliet, there's 700 other interpretations, and including one I think Nor suggested called Romeo Must Die, which we might get to at one point.
And there's a Gnomeo in Juliet where they have gnomes. See, y'all seen that one? This animated one? It's about garden gnomes.
No.
Oh, could you imagine?
They
That's
did it.
Hilarious.
They did it. You can imagine it. There's no need to imagine.
Is it a true adaptation, though?
I mean, such as all things are, two families rifted between evil, and then two lovers dressed to fall in love, but yet never see the light of day.
It's funny. I was talking to my wife last night. We watched it on the couch. It was so romantic, as you can imagine. Claire Danes, Leo DiCaprio, Pete Postlethwaite. I mean, I'm aroused already. But
Jamie Kennedy.
Jamie motherfucking Kennedy.
Malibu Most Wanted.
Leguizamo with those weird sideburns.
I forget the actor's name, but Mercutio, right out of Rocky Horror Picture Show for about half of it.
Harold Perrineau.
That's the guy from Lost.
From Lost.
Michael from
Which
Lost.
I feel really bad that that's what both of us are like. He's from Lost,
Yeah.
and he's
that's
done
a lot of my reference
so
points on this
much
podcast.
since then.
But you know what? When he shows up, he steals the fucking movie. He steals it away from DiCaprio. I'm
Absolutely.
looking at see him and the woman who plays the handmaiden, who pronounces Romeo.
Oh yeah, nurse.
Romeo.
Yep, the nurse. Yep.
Juliet.
Juliet. Juliet. She says sometimes.
Miriam Margolis. The second she shows up, I'm like, oh, what is she's so good. Especially when he's doing the balcony scene and she opens the balcony and it's her instead. He's like, eesh. It's very funny. So this is Baz Luhrmann nonsense, including a Paul Rudd proving that the man has fucking aged. Because
Yeah,
at this,
yeah.
he is
Aged?
a child.
He hasn't aged.
Dude, you saw Paul Rudd in this, right?
I did.
He looks 16.
He looks exact the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
With
Actually,
bangs.
Question to those who are comfortable with answering this.
Yeah.
So obviously we had two heartthrobs, Leonardo DiCaprio,
Brian
and Paul,
Dennehy.
and
Oh.
no. And
I think everybody but me should answer this question.
Thank
I don't
you.
know what it is, but
well, we're all comfortable here. So as a heartthrob, you have Leo, and then you
Yeah.
have Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Who did you go for back then?
when?
Back then, when this movie
Leo.
Leo. I mean,
But knowing the things now, Leo now and Paul now, who would you pick?
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd is.
So, safe to say, you should go for the funny guy.
I didn't know Leo at this point in 1996.
Leo
I
was
did
funny.
know Paul Rudd because I knew Clueless.
So it's funny because I had the same conversation with my wife. Like, what had he been in before this? He had been in Gilbert Grape at this point.
Roseanne.
He'd been in an episode of Roseanne, and he had been in This Boy's Life, which
What was the TV show that he was on with
That's after
Alan's? He did this, then he did a TV show.
he was this, and then he did Titanic, and then he did a TV show, I believe. Well,
That's a weird career.
I need to double check this because he was in a bunch of TV shows.
Yeah, I thought he was like 11 or 12 or 13 in
Alan
one
Thicke,
of those.
he was his dad. I remember.
Thicke.
Thick?
Yeah, why can I not?
It's not
think of
All
that?
in the Family. Family
No.
Matters. That's definitely not Family
I'm
Matters.
gonna get there.
Can you imagine him?
Growing
Steve Urkel?
Pains.
Growing Pains.
Pains. Yeah.
Growing Pains is before this. I was thinking.
Wait,
of
hold on.
something
Is Growing Pains the one with
But
the?
he was like a cousin in Growing Pains. I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah,
Like
but he's
that
still in
came to like
25
live with them.
episodes of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
Hold up. Wasn't Growing Pains the one with the guy that turned to be like really, really religious?
Kirk Cameron.
Kirk Cameron.
Kirk Cameron.
Yeah. I watched in.
he
in
does
my
all
two-
those apocalypse movies.
In
now.
my, I watched one of them in my 2 years
Left
in my
Behind.
Baptist
The
school.
Left
Yeah,
Behind series,
brother, I'm really afraid of the rapture. As
You and a lot of
I
us.
mean, I certainly should be afraid of the rapture. If it were to happen, I would be very afraid.
The only times, like maybe once a month, I think the rapture happens.
Every time. Okay.
I think we'd all get taken.
So
I mean,
I,
I've had hot wings before. I felt like the rapture was happening.
no, every time there's like weird earthquakes or
Yeah.
something, I'm like,
Or just like when I go into a building and there's like not as many. I'm like, where's everybody? Huh? You know, just
I
like,
don't think
no
I
one-
noticed that. I think I would be totally oblivious. I think I would be like grocery shopping, and I'd be like, "It's so nice and quiet in here,"
I'm
and
also
I'd just be,
Man, is COVID out again? I can get the Pop Tarts I liked.
"Yes."
I'm very codependent, so this happens a lot. Yes.
I'm codependent with my co-host, alcohol. No, I would say too, just for those of you, you don't know this, we record these in random orders just because I schedule things in a certain way based on who can be available. We've kept it classy the last two episodes because we did this and Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella last week.
Oh, we're so cultured.
Dude, this is classy as fuck.
Fancy.
So, I guess, since we're here, what are y'all's opinions on Baz Luhrmann movies? Baz Luhrmann.
What are they?
So
Well, Baz Luhrmann is the auteur. He's an Aussie who does a bunch of shit. In fact, if you check his IMDb, mostly what he does is Chanel No. 5 commercials. But he did The Great Gatsby with Leo DiCaprio. He did Moulin Rouge, again with John Leguizamo. He did the Elvis movie a couple years back. He did Australia with Huge Jacked Man. And for our LGBT audience, he did Strictly Ballroom, which is
Never heard that one.
a big... What?
I haven't heard that one.
Look it up. It's totally fun. It's like kind of what it sounds like. It's about a ballroom dancing competition, and we're following our ballroom dancers. And it's his first movie. It's just big and over the top, and yada yada yada. You get his style, and I think, frankly, for those of you who are listening who are much younger than we are, which is most of our audience, you probably know him from The Great Gatsby because English teachers now show it instead of the Robert Redford version with
damn
the JC
shame.
soundtrack and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just, that's what he does. It's big, it's parties, it's over the top. There's a weird party scene in this one. Let's be very clear. But it is kind of cartoony and over the top. Do you guys seek him out? Have you seen other films of his?
No, I mean,
I've only seen Moulin Rouge.
yeah.
Same.
Of those.
Yep.
So I've seen Elvis, the Great Gatsby, and all that. It's very colorful. I like it, you know, in a sense of just like visually. He really knows how to make color.
The style
pop.
is fun. You know what it kind of reminded me of a little bit
What's
at
that?
times was Party Monster. I don't know.
Oh, sure, the Macaulay Culkin movie.
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin.
Seth Green.
Yeah. Just sort of this. It's a weird movie. I watched
It's
it because
strange,
I was
yeah.
obsessed with Marilyn Manson at one point, and he's in the movie for
tell
like
me more.
3 minutes. So
Is
Now-
it true about his ribs? Anyways, yes, Romeo.
No.
not that I know of.
And the
No.
first season of Clone High, where he is he's
It's the
refereeing-
food pyramid.
Yeah, the food pyramid
Yeah.
song. See, every time we hang out, I like her more and more. She's awesome. Now, for people our age, I will reference something that you know of Baz Luhrmann's. Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 1999.
Yep.
Wear sunscreen.
Sunscreen.
If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The sunscreen song, which made the charts.
Just the strangest charting song, which was
infamous.
legitimately a hit.
Yes.
Just reciting a poem by someone and just set over just the most
Is that
bland
the-
music ever.
Is that the one where he's saying like "My beautiful flesh" or something?
No,
I don't
that's
think
another
so.
song.
Wait,
but there's
tell-
a scene in here where there's a choir led by a falsetto male who's everybody's free. That was the interstitials of this song.
See, I clocked the Prince. I clocked
Yeah, I
the
heard
When
Prince,
Doves Cry
Prince. Yeah,
church
yeah.
choir
Yeah.
thing, which was
Same.
pretty dope.
Because I was curious about the music in the movie, and because like, so this is like my experience watching a movie like this. I'm like, okay, cool. So we're doing Shakespeare, but like it's modern. So at
Yeah.
any time, do they actually talk not in Shakespeare? Like, do they ad lib anything? And I think they really didn't.
Other than the song.
But and that was my question, was like, and then that first song that I heard was "My Flesh Is So Beautiful" or something like this, and I was like, it sounded like it may have been made for the movie. But then I heard the Prince song, and I was like, okay, I don't know, So
Yeah, no, and just as an aside, don't like get a glass of red wine and listen to the sunscreen song because it was a convocation or a commencement address. Excuse me.
So tell me more about this sunscreen.
Dude, just you can
song.
look it up. It was an editorials poem that was written for the New York Times as a commencement address for people in, I think, the class of 1999. But like the end of it is literally, be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. And again, Alex, you know what I'm saying? So it's probably clicking in. Advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth. And then the guitar kicks in, and the last line is, but trust me on the sunscreen.
I only remember the sunscreen part, I promise you. That was the one thing that stuck with me.
It's funny because not that I was obsessed with the song, but it's like, what the fuck is this?
What an oddball 90s weird
1999
song.
We're approaching
I
the
mean-
millennium, and thank God he fixed it for us.
Oh, yeah.
But then I looked at the actual essay that was
Jiggy
written,
with it.
and it's a good essay. It's like someone who wrote like it was as though like Jay-Z wrote a rap based around "Yes, Virginia, there's a Santa Claus" or something, because it's just a newspaper editorial that he's like, let's just have a guy with a baritone read this off and add a bass line.
So does anyone remember the Chris Rock spoof of that?
Yes.
No sex in the
There's no sex
champagne
in-
room. Which I definitely burned to probably multiple CDs in the early 2000s. No sex in the champagne room. No matter what a stripper tells you,
There's
no sex in the champagne room. You go download that from Napster
I
right
feel like
now.
in the early.
You find it.
I feel like the
There's a
late.
music video too, which is pretty funny.
Yes, there is. I
I feel
remember
like
it.
there was just a lot of PSAs in the late '90s, early 2000s.
there was a lot
about-
to undo from the
Yeah.
70s and 80s. I
Yeah,
think
like what was the big one
Clinton was
besides?
president.
Yeah,
eggs
Eggs.
had their own commercial.
eggs.
I love eggs. I mean,
Eggs.
from my head
Eggs.
down to my legs.
Oh,
The incredible
Got milk.
edible egg.
And I don't know
got
what
milk?
they tell kids today about sex, but we were terrified of AIDS. The second you were naked, you could get AIDS. So
Mm-hmm.
it was.
I think it's just fentanyl fear for us at least.
Oh, I've seen those ads. Like, you should get test strips just in case that Adderall you're buying off a homeless man.
yeah.
That could be. That
No,
could
but
be.
it's
yeah.
things like they say, like if you check the mail, you can get fentanyl. If you can get fentanyl on your hands, like
that's-
and
It's not
die.
anthrax, is it?
No,
I
it's
don't
COVID.
know.
No,
That's
right,
the same
right.
thing as about COVID.
We have a lot of things we can die from. I don't know.
Jeez, anything can kill you. Yeah.
I mean, just yesterday I had Hardee's, so I mean I'm probably.
Are you
dying already.
okay? I feel like lard's coming from your ears.
Was it biscuits?
Of course it is.
I love their
I'm not going to eat a
biscuits.
burger
You got
from
them
Hardee's. I'm going to have
biscuits.
one of them
Yeah, them
eggs and cheese biscuits.
Butter biscuit.
They're the best biscuits.
They are the best
If you're
biscuits.
having if you've chosen fast food this morning,
Just don't forget your sunscreen.
And your biscuits.
And no sex in the champagne room.
there's no sex in the champagne room. I visited some friends today at a brewery, which is a word you can't say sober, so it's fine.
Brewery.
Brewery.
Burry.
Judicial system, which is a Dana Carvey joke. And so I was by myself in the car, so I was just listening to random shit. And after Blame Canada, I did admit to listening to the
Blame
Asshole
Canada.
song by Dennis Leary because we're just listening to nonsense. We'll do nonsense. Have we done? Yes, we have. I was thinking of movies he was in. He's not in a lot for reasons. He's not a good actor.
I don't like him. I don't like his whole thing.
You're fine. It's
Yeah.
just Bill Hicks, but he smokes more. Okay, so Romeo plus Juliet. Moving on. No.
Come on. Who wants to be-
Okay, so
Plot
long story
synopsis?
short, we smash cut to an opening which is literally The Dark Knight, the graphic novel, where there's a small TV that
Yeah.
pans out like that. That's how The Dark Knight starts. But effectively, it's supposed to be the Shakespearean play, but directed by a man who mostly does perfume commercials.
Music videos, flashing lights. You know?
And so, the opening shot is at a gas station, like where the fucking friends from Zoolander who get into
That's the exact thing.
I couldn't think of anything else.
I was very confused at this point because I was like, is this a comedy? Is this
Sort of.
kind of.
an action? Like,
Well, I will say it's funny because you would think. Talk about action movies for a second. If you've not seen Lethal Weapon,
Sure.
Lethal Weapon starts out with a woman. She rubs her eyes. She's clearly been doing drugs, and then she jumps out of like a 50-story window, like off a balcony, and dies. That's the start of the movie. You don't know what the movie's about yet, but that's a fucking action-packed way to start. This is nonsense for the first 10 minutes. Again, I know it's Romeo and Juliet, but we have a TV of a woman talking, a news reporter, and then we have the exact same lines read by a narrator who I think is trying to do an Alfred Hitchcock impersonation.
Yeah.
He's just this fat guy doing this narration who doesn't matter. It's even worse than Hail Caesar. We'll get there. But and then we get to a gas station fight like it's Zoolander, and I'm just
you got to remember the opening montage where it explains
how shitty Verona is.
just basically within the two families who things are, kind of characterizing kind of thing. It's almost like the opening credits of just a TV show.
All right, I'm gonna go full Paul Quadrado. Is that was his name? The English teacher at OMA.
Fucking quad. Yeah.
Quad.
Yeah.
So what are the two family names, Nor?
The Caputos and the March. It's a Spanish. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. I did Shakespeare.
The
Capulets and the Montagues.
Here's
Kudos
the
and
thing.
Marcianos.
Listen, I did Shakespeare in college.
That's
the only thing,
Sopranos.
but here's the thing. The only reason why I don't everything that I said, I don't know. I just regurgitated it. I didn't understand.
I feel a little bit of that. I had trouble
reacted,
following
the language.
Yeah,
so
some of
something we did in college for us to understand our lines, almost like this movie. So instead of modernize, so in this movie they just modernize the times. So we would just modernize the actual speaks. So I'm saying Romeo,
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that Romeo. It was where where you at, bitch? We would just it would just switch it up.
So I will say the
I would like that.
the stupidest part of that
10 Things I Hate About You.
is when he had sword brand guns. Did you
love
know
that.
when they
Yeah,
show
yeah,
the
yeah.
side of the
Really,
they're
they
just
really
twisting it
zoomed
and
into
stuff,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I
they
mean, it's
really.
full of stuff like that.
sword,
millimeters.
9
No.
millimeter.
Actually,
just
so in middle school, my friends and I went through a little phase where we would bite our thumbs at people.
Oh, sir.
Yeah.
Sign of
Oh,
disrespect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bite my thumb at you, sir.
We were really cool.
What's the history about that? Is this like I bite my thumb?
It's just
at
like
you?
a
It's just like,
Shakespearean
It's a
insult.
fuck, is it a fuck
Yeah,
you?
it's like
Yeah,
a middle
it's a
finger.
little-
Every
yeah.
culture has a hand gesture.
Hey, I'm hungry.
shut up with your mouth.
Yeah. Van culo. Yeah.
I'll also just toss at you because our young apprentice here.
Thank you.
There was something about the 90s where there was Shakespeare just fucking everywhere. Because, of
Yeah.
course, there's this. I mentioned Romeo Must Die was there.
Shakespeare's in
Ten-
Love.
Shakespeare in Love. 10 Things I Hate About
10
You,
Things
is,
I
of
Hate
course.
About
Yeah.
You.
But there's Kenneth Branagh who directed the Thor movies and now the Knives Out movies. The Agatha Christie movies. He did Murder on the Orient Express. He did those movies. He did a version of Hamlet that got 3 Academy Award nods.
Was that the one with Denzel?
No, that was the Coen brothers did that one.
Okay.
But it starred Billy Crystal was in it, Robin Williams was in it.
Yeah.
And it was like 2.5 hours long. He was like the new Laurence Olivier. Like,
No, yeah,
And that got
yeah,
released
yeah.
in theaters, and he got the Academy Award nod before he cheated on Sharon Stone. or no, Emma.
Wait,
He was
we're
married
talking
to.
about Kenneth Branagh still?
Yeah.
Oh,
He was,
who was
married
he married to?
to? Emma something.
Watson.
No,
Stone.
she would've been like a few-
Kristen Stewart.
No,
Oh,
Stone is-
a British actress.
Yeah.
Oh, Emma.
Emma.
Oh.
The chick, the Tim Burton's.
No one's picking their phone up.
No.
No.
She's,
Emma. Emma De La Rose.
She's
Lana
so
Del Rey.
big.
I know.
Emma Thompson.
Emma
He
Thompson.
cheated on Emma Thompson.
We said Emma Thompson,
with
didn't we?
Helena
No, we
Bonham
didn't.
Carter, and then they broke up.
Hermione.
Kenneth
No.
Branagh's. You know
Who's
what?
Emma
Whenever I see
Thompson?
Kenneth Branagh
she's
in
an
anything as an
older,
actor,
like-
he's good.
He's a
just-
good
just
actor.
great.
He's not a great director, but his version of Hamlet is incredible.
Is Emma Thompson?
We watched that in high school.
Did she do the one where she's like a retired teacher?
Yes.
And she gets the call boy.
Yes. That's
Saw
all.
that.
Mrs.
There's
Anderson?
also a version
That-
of my favorite Shakespearean play that came out at the time, which was a made-for-TV movie for NBC, which is A Midsummer Night's Dream, which also is Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, and yeah. So maybe that's like that time period was very Shakespearean.
It was just because we
It
were
was
in
good
a
writing.
Well, it's in
Or
a
structure.
time period like this where everything was a sequel. So
Yeah.
they're like, let's go back to the roots. Now, the reason I like Midsummer is because one of the main characters is a guy named Nick Bottom, who is an asshole.
Nick who?
Nick Bottom.
Okay.
He's an
All right.
asshole.
Okay.
And Oberon, who's one of the ancient kings, turns him into a donkey and makes his wife fall in love with him. And one of the last lines of the play, when she wakes up from that, he goes, "She dreamt I enamored an ass," and his name was Nick, and it spoke to me.
Yeah.
It's what my wife has to deal with all the time. But it's
She
just
probably calls you Nick Bottom when you're not around.
only when she's on top.
Bottom.
But I mean, just in general, like, it's funny how much Shakespeare was around us all the time.
Yeah, it really was.
And again, nowadays it's not. It's more like classic American literature, which I'm fine with. It's funny how there was like this moment
theme.
from like '96 to like, because She's All That is also a Shakespearean
Yeah.
adaptation.
Well, because it's all good story structure. Because I
It
think
is.
especially if you're doing stuff with actual quality and you take your time with it, it follows a good Shakespearean story structure. Nowadays, you just spitting shit out just
nowadays
because
it's
of like
all,
anything.
like Marvel sequels.
Yeah.
That's literally
It's
all.
fatigue. Yeah, it's the same shit. Yeah,
Well, I
happening.
mean, if I may predict something, which I won't, but I will try.
do it.
And people who are actually fans of the show, I don't subscribe, but for those of you who do, Brittany, whoever's out there listening, I think it's going to come back around. If only so much of the stuff we watch nowadays, like Bridgerton, Downton Abbey, even
Game of
things like Game of
Thrones.
Thrones and like the World of Dragons, they put on that British affectation. And the Tolkien stuff, which is coming back, the Ring of Power, we're right on that cusp of coming back around to it. It's
Yeah.
like it's almost as though like they've set the table for more British nonsense. Let's do it. Why
and even
not?
Doctor Who is getting I wouldn't say resurgent. It's always been popular.
Well, it's
mainstream,
because the
but it was
original,
just-
the guys who brought it back with Chris Eccleston are coming back.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, so you're saying that we understand British people. No, is that what you're saying? So like more Shakespearean language.
I'm just saying that now that the culture is now so filled with it, why not?
Yeah.
And guess what? The Coen brothers' tragedy of Macbeth with Denzel is a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
I just want more of that because, frankly, well, and
It's
I guess
good
the point,
acting.
because I'm me and you're not me, but I am me. Netflix told me that they're releasing a Decameron series.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm just like,
Cameron.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
So the
Tony
Decam-
Hale's in it from Arrested Development, among other people. I can't remember him right now.
so you might have heard of the Canterbury Tales, which is a series of a bunch of people going to a holy site in Canterbury, and so they tell their tales.
Wait, hold on. The one about the chocolate rabbits?
Sure, why not?
Wait.
Have you seen the Heath Ledger?
Yeah,
movie?
the Cadbury Tales.
The
Yeah.
same people?
Yeah. It was the Cadbury Tales. Yeah.
Are y'all fucking? So there's a Canterbury and there's a Cadbury? It's
Yeah.
just-
wait. What was the movie with
A Knight's Tale.
Oh, okay. We had
Yeah,
that
the
too.
Heath Ledger
Knight's
movie.
Tale,
That
yes,
too.
yes.
And that
So
was
that was based
Was that a Canterbury
on
Tale?
the Canterbury
Canterbury
Tales,
Tales.
which is English, but they're based on a series of Italian stories called the Decameron. And now that's being readapted. So I wonder if we're not re-entering a phase where classic lit is coming back around.
Yeah, and in that TV show, they're waiting out the plague. They're
Yes.
waiting out the bubonic plague, and I guess it's set in a modern time.
Oh,
so
this is
it actually looked interesting.
this
I
is
might
a
check it out.
comedy show.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know, so for the first few trailers that I saw for the show, they didn't like say that it was a comedy, but it looked so ridiculous.
If Tony Hale's in it,
like,
it's
I was
fine.
like,
Kinda.
I couldn't
Yeah.
get a feel for it, but you know, that does look cute.
Well, and it's just, it fits right into that genre where the idea, which, I mean, we'll never talk about this movie truly, but the idea is these are universal emotions. The idea that
Yeah.
you're in love with someone and your family just will never approve. Like I said, I was joking about Freud with Oedipus, but like, it's the same idea. Like, you are obsessed with someone who you can never be with, and you're willing to die for it. Like, Juliet in like the play is supposed to be 14 or 15, which, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but when I was in high school, we watched that Italian Rossellini version,
yes,
Rossetti version, excuse me,
right, yes.
Which is
I remember
now-
watching that. Yeah,
which the actresses and the actor were like 17, which again, as someone in high school at the time, I got. Nowadays, it's very uncomfortable with all the nudity, but it's on Criterion,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of thinking of buying it just because, like, that is how you do Shakespeare. It's like truly a masterpiece. But like, as the people in their 30s now, the thing is, those 40s,
yeah.
I is 30.
those people. To be a teenager in love like that,
Yeah.
you are making stupid fucking decisions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
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 I feel like seeing this movie with, you know, it takes you out a little bit. I think Leo does a better job of saying his stuff, but he looks like such a like surfer dude. And then you've got
Yeah, bro.
Claire Danes, and she's like, "But mother, thou dost not understandest." Like,
Let's
and I'm-
let's go through the cast real quick.
I want to talk to Nurse. She gets me.
Hold on, let's go through the
By the
cast.
by, like,
I'm coming by and by. I come by and
Here,
by.
let me name the cast real quick. So we have
she should have also been 13, which I feel like would be much more. Leo
no,
Picard-
I
Leo
would say
DiCaprio
I
style.
appreciate the fact that they're first basing it and they're like clearly 18 because it's really awkward when just like a bunch of middle schoolers are like, meow, 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 meow.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. So we got Leonardo DiCaprio as Romeo, Claire Danes, Juliet, John
Leguizamo.
Tybalt, Paul
good.
Rudd as the Count.
Poor bastard.
Harold Perrineau.
Harold
the guy,
Perrineau.
the Perrineau, excuse me.
Perrineau.
I'm
Walt!
Dude, he steals every
yeah, he
fucking
does, he
scene.
does.
He's great, man.
We got the guy who looks like Gronk that played Benvolio.
Benvolio.
Dash.
Yeah, Dane
Benvolio
Diop
actually,
or something.
Jamie Kennedy, of course, and then let's see other notable characters that I recognize. I thought it was Freddie Prinze Jr., but it wasn't. It was Jesse Branford.
Yeah, Jesse Bradford, who was in wasn't he in like Desperate Housewives? Also,
was, yeah.
What was
he
hold on,
was
let
like
me-
the yard boy.
Yeah.
He was
The gardener boy.
He was in
Pool
Bring
boy.
It On, Swim Fan, Clocks Stoppers, which is one of those Nickelodeon movies from way back in the day. I'm trying to see another one. Echo.
Did you guys watch
Happy
Gallivant?
Endings. No, I haven't seen what's
No.
Gallivant about.
didn't.
Oh my gosh, you should watch it.
It was a lot of songs, right?
Yeah,
Singing.
it's like a musical medieval comedy that it only lasted for a year, but it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I will give since Nor's not giving more names, I will top to my hat.
I was just like busting some people out, at least notable. I mean, Jamie Kennedy is the only one that really surprised me
with pink hair.
With pink hair.
And I will give my credit to one of my favorite character actors,
Which one?
Pete Postlethwaite, who plays the priest, who is from
The Friar.
Well, and he's from Lost World, previous episode. He's also Kobayashi from Usual Suspects, the guy who shows up at the end, right? And he's also in Inception. Like he's got one of those faces that the second he shows up, you remember, which is great. And also the Warring Fathers, which is Paul Sorvino, who from everything, but I think of him from Goodfellas immediately. And Brian Dennehy, the idea that anyone casted him in Shakespeare, he's just like, fuck you, and punch it. Like, if he just threw a punch, fucking better movie.
The one role that stands out for me is, for him at least, is the dad from Tommy Boy, which is Chris Farley's, the one that dies.
Oh yeah, Brian Dennehy, of course. He's just a big burly fat Irishman who died I think 2020. Yeah, 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
Can they explain what the feud is at all? Like why the family?
I don't think they do in Shakespeare either. Really, it's just an ancient feud.
I mean, and that's kind of why, in my mind, it's more universal. Like as Americans, it's like
we hate them, but we don't know why.
Yeah. Well, but it's also the Hatfields and the McCoys. Like we just understand a rivalry, right?
We're like they hate each other. Cool. Now what?
Yes. So Romeo of the Bulldogs and Juliet of the Crimson Tide, like
the house divided.
So Shakespeare is in Love. Was it based off of Romeo and Juliet?
Shakespeare in Love is based on a bunch of fan fiction.
It's so good.
But I believe so. Okay, so
Ben Affleck's King
you
Henry.
asked a question which doesn't which is a good question.
It's a good question. It's in Sphere.
It's Ray Fiennes, right?
Yeah, it's Ray Fiennes. If you want to learn about Shakespeare, you should look up the show Upstart Crow, which is a BBC show, and it's incredibly funny. It's David Mitchell from the Mitchell and Webb look of other things and Peep Show, but he plays Shakespeare, and they go through his various plays. And what's funny is at the time, women were not allowed to be actresses, so Shakespeare was writing this play as a romance, and they were all dudes on the stage.
Yeah, yeah. And
which is why there's not really kissing in this. Yeah. Which is why the pool scene makes a lot more sense. And again, we were all in high school, whatever. At one point, they're just teenagers in love and they're making out in the pool. But in the play, there's no dialogue. So that's why there's no dialogue there, because there's nothing.
Some history fact, since you like history, Nick. For those
I've heard of history before.
Yes, those you don't know. So yes, the male parts, female parts were played by male, in the way they would, they literally
lady parts are called vaginas.
True. So they would just but in Shakespeare in Love.
This is also an issue in the Olympics right now.
Oh, we don't got to talk about that. Okay. Anyways,
previous episode, the Olympics.
But in Shakespeare, cool runnings. And Shakespeare is in Love. Gwyneth Paltrow, who is a female,
a lady part,
she would have to wrap herself up in garments to make it seem like she's flat chested, and that's how she got used to. And I don't know. I remember watching Shakespeare in Love in high school and be like, oh, interesting. They're just letting people just allow.
Was the teacher just taking a nap that day?
It was our drama teacher. She's like, She's like, watch this.
This is art.
I think she just wanted to. She was a huge Ben Affleck fan, so every movie she was spitting out just had Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck was like King Henry.
You know what? Since it was Carrie, I'll give her a pass because I like Carrie. And
this was it was when I was high school in Ethiopia. So this is
this doesn't count. I don't know. I can't speak to their
curriculum.
Ability.
No. But Shakespeare in Love. I mean, Romeo plus Juliet
minus
Mercutio.
Yeah. Minus. I mean, we now, ladies and gentlemen, we haven't talked about the plot of this movie. I assume you know what Romeo and Juliet's about.
What is it about?
It's about two warring families, and eventually the
death.
Well, I was going to say eventually the scion, the heir, Romeo falls in love with Juliet at a party, and then it's about teenage obsession and teenagers falling in love. And again, like, I think it's interesting to read as a teenager and then, like a lot of good literature, to revisit as an adult. Because when you're a teenager, you're like, I get this. I can understand being in love. But now, as we're recording, I will have dated my wife for 20 years in like 20 days. And then our 15th wedding anniversary is in October.
Mazel tov.
But like, my point is, it's a very different relationship as an adult, right? And so you look at kids, like teenagers, being in love.
Oh.
I have taught for 17 years now. I've had more than 1,200 students I've taught. I've had 5 of them get married with their high school sweetheart.
That's fine. Yeah,
Right?
That's a long relationship they've had to.
Right.
Honestly, yeah.
And so, like, the idea that these teenagers are in love and it ends up tragically, you're right. Shakespeare's right.
What were we like in high school?
Oh, what happened to those 5 couples, Nick?
Well, how old is
I mean,
technically?
some of them are still married. A couple
All
of them
right.
breed cows. And that's a very odd Facebook post every time. There's like,
farmers?
we have a cow for sale.
Well, let's talk about what kind of people were we? Like I mentioned earlier, I was the hopeless romantic in high school. What were you like, Nick?
Desperate. Being intimate
How
is like air.
how did you show that you're desperate?
I was in marching band. I did date a color guard girl for a while. Being intimate in high school is very much like, hey, we're on a bus going to a football game. How are you doing, girl?
I have a jacket.
Oh, band
here.
kids.
Oh,
band kids and guard girls, man.
No, I know. And I was wearing like essentially gym clothes because you have like the uniform on top, and she's wearing a leotard. I'm like, how you doing? And we dated for a year, and then I was a grade above her, so I went to college, and then you meet people who exist. And you're like,
Different times, different place, yeah.
And again, I'm not going to say it was cool in high school. I was kind of a loser, but that's a long time ago. So I don't, have to take antidepressants or anything.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for
That's a
sharing.
joke.
Thank you for sharing.
Classic Hoffman
What
joke
were you
about-
like in high
Well,
school?
this may come as a surprise to you guys.
As a podcast co-host.
I was pretty weird in high school.
We all weird in our
What,
way.
what changed?
I don't know.
I'm just kidding. You're
Nothing.
still
No,
weird.
I was very weird. I was weird to a fault. Like I was one of those that was like I want to be myself so much that I will like be forcibly myself to not fit in with anybody. I was also a theater kid, but I was like a backstage theater kid. And I actually have a
Come back to us. I feel like your eyes just went to like the tech life. Yeah.
So one time so we're talking about like crushes and all of that, and so we were hanging out. It was like after rehearsal or before rehearsal, like we're waiting to get started for rehearsal, and you spend so long on rehearsals and so much time backstage and whatever. And so we had this furniture on set. It was like a wicker furniture set. So like a wicker couch and like a wicker chair and like a wicker
With the cushion.
coffee table.
Right.
For what the play was. I can't remember what the name of the play was, but anyway.
Romeo and Juliet.
Not that one.
Minus
It was-
Mercutio.
I think it was like the Purple Hat Society or something.
Purple Hat
It was
Society.
like that's what it was about.
The
but-
Adjustment Bureau. Which is
But no,
Sounds sexy.
but so anyway, so there was a guy that I had a crush on,
Sure.
and he was older than me.
I see how
He was
way.
about to graduate, and I was like probably a freshman. And we were all hanging out backstage, and he and I were on this sofa,
A
and we
wicker
were-
sofa.
on a wicker sofa.
The one that makes that
And
noise
we
is
were like lying
Very
down
comfortable.
together, and everybody was like, like it was like a group of people. We were chatting, whatever, and but it's like when you're a high schooler and you're like lying down next to somebody that you like, you're just like on fire.
Sure.
And then I was literally on fire because some people started biting me. And we turned on the lights, and apparently this wicker furniture that we had gotten at like a yard sale or something had pretty praying
Fire
mantis.
ants?
No, it had praying mantis eggs in it, and I guess the lights, like the heat of the lights on the stage,
They
like,
activated them.
hatched. Or maybe it was me. Maybe.
The heat from y'all.
But anyway, we all evacuated screaming because we were covered in praying mantises.
Was that like, okay, damn. Wow.
Missed
That story
opportunity.
didn't go where you guys thought it was gonna go.
No, I honestly didn't. I wasn't expecting that. That's insane.
Wouldn't have guessed praying mantis eggs hatching.
No, like
Wow.
my high school romance stories are all like they're much more like Beverly Hills 90210. Like,
Yeah.
well, no, it's just like I had like a thing for one girl, and it like didn't think she liked me, and then there was another girl in the band that I was like kind of hitting on, and then when I asked one of them out, there was like another person that was like, how dare you ask her out, not me? And I was just like, again, it's just stupid, not because you're in high school and nothing matters now.
Yeah.
But like, and again, as someone who teaches people like that, it's the most important thing in the world at that age.
Yeah,
But
for
now,
sure.
nowadays, I'm more worried about my mortgage. You know, like life is so much more expensive and important.
So I remember my high school crush. It's weird. I went to a private school, so it wasn't a lot just to, so it's like one and done. Like if
One and done?
so the way it was,
What?
it was a very small.
You went to two different schools in high school.
Yeah, so this is at Oak
two and
Mountain. Yeah, so at Oak Mountain, basically, like there was this one girl, and she was, I'm not gonna say her name, but she was basically not the female version of me, but just I had a hard crush on her, and there was like no other girl. I remember trying to ask her out, and words were just fumbling from me to the point where like afterwards at night, like when I got back home, my mom saw me. I was in the dark, and she's like, "Are you okay?" She was like, "Yeah, I just
Crawling in my skin.
definitely like
That
that was." But when I tell you, like I would do a lot of romantic gestures that would make no fucking sense. So when I was
They meant so much to you,
Right,
and then they just don't.
it would make
like,
sense in my
land.
head.
Yeah.
So I remember I went on this second date with this girl. This is when I tell you I did a lot of growing up in college. I gave her a key to a locket to symbolize that it was the key to my heart. And then she was like, "Oh." And it was like a luggage locker you get from a fucking Walmart.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
like, it was just, yeah. And I remember there was a John Legend song, and I edited it to where it repeated like, "Will you be my girlfriend?" She's like, "Ooh," and it's I had my reverse cycle, I guess, in college where I was just like, but no, high school was interesting for me. Nothing like praying mantis, wicker basket, but it's like a lot of I guess you're right.
Not a praying
You
mantis
said-
wicker basket
a
situation.
lot of emo.
You weren't gonna say that girl's name, and I shouldn't say that guy's name.
Yeah.
But it is a really funny name.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it. Come on.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sure
his name
he's about to listen.
His name was John Large.
John Large.
Yeah.
It's like a Mr. Big
Is there a
situation.
reason why you wanted to talk?
No.
No, I'm kidding.
John
No.
He was actually quite slight in stature.
Oh, so this went past the wicker baskets incident. Before, did y'all
in
dig?
stature? No.
Oh.
Like.
Oh no. Okay, never mind. I have no idea where you're talking.
No,
You said
it
stature.
never
I'm just like,
went
yeah, okay.
anywhere.
Yeah, tell us more about his
Stature.
stature. You know what we
John
mean?
Long's
Did you ever get a sense of his stature?
It wasn't John Long. It was
John stature.
Yeah. We know how from what you're saying, we know how tall he was. But what about his stature? I think is what we're.
The praying mantis thing really
So like
kind of ruined it
so,
for us.
So nothing. Everything fizzled out after
That
praying
was
mantis.
it.
That was it. Oh my God. Okay.
We scurried like praying mantises and on
And you,
a
Alex,
saw one
how
the
was-
other day.
What was high school like for you?
Well, I was just thinking that I was asked to prom sophomore, junior, and senior year by 3 different cello players.
My
who
man.
were all-
Cello.
Yeah, my senior
3
year,
different cellists who wanted me to go to prom with them.
What is it
So-
about you that makes you so appealing
To cello players?
cello?
String player. Yeah.
I don't.
Were you the
I have no
token redhead?
I saw
well,
you.
I was,
Always.
yeah, I was the only.
He's the token redhead here,
I'm the token
right now.
redhead in most rooms I walk into, but I mean, you know.
I know how you,
saw
I know
you
how
at
you feel
prom.
as to the token red shirt person. Here.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm wearing a red
Oh,
shirt
yeah,
today.
that's what you're-
That's what you
I'm
mean. Of
usually
course
the
that's
guy
what
that
you
has
mean.
a red shirt.
Yeah.
Yes. Guess who's coming to dinner? Red shirt guy.
Work
The
out.
guy was a good friend of mine. That was the guy that was the most unique. I picked him up, like
Strong man.
yeah, like
Just
that.
literally
so like I have a
fireman
picture. I can
carry.
show it to you guys.
We're not talking about John Large, though.
No,
No.
John
John Long.
Regular.
John Long.
Yeah.
John Long. Right there.
No.
Well, that's cool. Thank y'all for sharing
We
your
haven't
high
talked
school
about this movie
experience.
at all.
No, I wanted to get the scope of everyone's romantic because when Romeo was spitting lines, Juliet, whatever. It was just like cringe for me because like was I really as the type of person I was as a teenager I was just like did I
Yeah.
sound like
No,
that?
I feel like
100%.
they
Just
weren't.
probably.
Am I just saying shit so I can get as
and like them talking about like how much they love each other and
Right.
like what they swear
Ugh,
on, and it's
just
like,
like-
but kids really
Right.
do that.
They had
kind of
known
stuff.
each other for about 36 hours by the
Yeah.
time everything really started moving.
Let's just actually talk about
mean-
the first scene. So Romeo's on drugs. I don't know if you saw the ecstasy pill
He takes
that
Molly.
occurs.
Yeah,
He took some
yeah.
Molly, and this entire exchange, it's like it could have been like a Shallow Hal type situation where he had been talking to a fern the entire time. Him just like if you like flashbacks
That would be a
of
twist.
just yeah, and like I would never want like. Okay, I get that feeling when you're young and you just really liked this girl or whatever, and they just like break your heart. Wow, there's a lot of dark times in my room, but I understand. But I never wanted to like execute myself or die for that other person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just like even like my biggest
Well,
celebrity crush, Jennifer
but
Lopez.
they
I wouldn't
didn't-
do that for her.
It's almost like the familial pressure is what really drove them, because they probably would have liked it, like just like Rosalind. They probably would have liked each other. It would have fizzled out. He would have found somebody else to like.
Yeah.
But what like drove them to it was their families trying to keep them apart.
Apart.
yeah, they feel
Yeah.
like there's no way out.
Yeah.
There's no other alternative.
What's
right?
What's that psychology test where they're like
Reverse.
reverse
Psychology.
No, I was thinking about the one where it's like don't eat the donut, and like this is the donut
one
test.
with the marshmallow.
The marshmallow
test,
one, yeah, just like but no, I going back to the director's style of things. I mean, a lot of light bulbs, a lot of
Oh man, this
lot of
movie
light
was
bulbs.
a lot.
A lot of light
God,
bulbs.
this was a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, this was like anxiety-inducing
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
For most of it, for me.
Really?
Yes.
They talk.
Yeah, it's a lot.
What
The
was your,
whole
what
thing
was
is a
your
lot.
Fitbit clocking in at?
was your
man,
heart
I
rate
was
during
I
this
was
movie?
logging zone minutes like crazy. How long was this movie? I logged that many zone minutes, but I mean,
Hour 30.
just a lot of crazy facial expressions, overacting. I mean,
And then
over
cut to cut to
speaking.
cut to cut.
Yeah, lots
I
of
mean-
cuts.
If anything, I appreciate the wardrobe because these Hawaiian shirts.
I mean, for a second,
Sure.
we should talk about this because, like, all the dudes at one point or another are wearing open Hawaiian shirts, which is fine, I guess. It's supposed to be Verona, which is in Italy. It's mostly filmed in Mexico City, so I imagine it was 100,000 degrees.
I just imagined it was like California.
Yeah, like Venice Beach or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I was going to say, though, we should talk just for a minute about that first party where he first hooks up with Juliet because she's wearing angel wings. He's wearing, like, chainmail.
yeah. And Paul
Yeah.
Rudd is an astronaut.
and Mercutio is in drag.
And
Like,
then the dad is also.
He's like a Roman.
well, he's at the
emperor or
He's at
something.
the Paris opening ceremonies offending Christians.
Oh
at the Last
right,
Supper.
the table that they set up was
He's
the Last
blue
Supper.
Jesus.
And it's just
Jesus.
like, but he's also like, so everyone's drinking, right? Who cares if one of the Montagues is here? Woo! Like, and meanwhile, John Leguizamo's like, should I just start killing people? And Dad's like, nah. But like, and again, when we say Mercutio's in drag, it's not drag. He's just like he's going to Rocky Horror. Like
Yeah.
it's really, he's wearing like this this glitter bustier and like a
all
silver
white.
afro wig.
And you know what though? What an interesting choice. And also
Yeah.
like hearing the background of the director, I guess that makes sense
It does.
more. But I remember, like, you know, being a theater kid, this movie, like, I don't really have a fond place in my heart for this movie, but I do remember, like, watching it, and I remember even then appreciating him. And I feel like that was a little bit before its time. Like, I feel like now that would be really well received. Maybe not.
Sure.
If it was
I mean,
on the
this
Olympics.
movie came out in 96. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. When did Philadelphia come out?
Couple years before.
93.
So we were slowly starting to.
This would have been
LGBTQ
out there.
movement,
That was
like-
very
yeah.
flamboyant.
But
of,
there, it
of
really
his
was.
character.
It really was. But
Yeah.
there was something about him that made him so endearing and
Yes.
charming.
Yeah.
And like immediately when he comes on, he's so likable.
It
I will
reminds
say
me of
my pro-
Angel from Rent.
Yes,
That
it
kind of
does.
vibe. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say my problem is not with him or the acting. It's with the editing because I have there's no establishing
Flash
shot.
cut.
Right.
Flash cut.
Yeah.
And again, I have no problem. I know the play. They get the invitation. They decide essentially to crash the party. I almost wish that when they left, they're carrying out crates of booze with them, like they're running away from a heist, right? Because like it's just they show up, they get kicked out. John Leguizamo has this little hissy fit, like. It's the scene from Shakespeare, but because it's as though they went into the lines of dialogue and cut out every breath,
Yeah.
it feels like we're tripping over each other to get in and out of it. And again, Mercutio dressing in drag, you either make it matter or you don't. It's as though the camera and editor thinks it matters, but the director doesn't. So we don't spend time on him choosing his outfit. We don't understand why he did it.
Yeah. He
But
just
at the
appears
same
in the outfit.
time, we spend a lot of time focusing on
It's
it.
just like a random 1996. We're sort of out there, a little edgy choice. You know, we're a little
Yeah.
different than what you're seeing.
But it's also like we're just a normal dude, and we're giving the side eye to someone in a weird costume because the camera keeps cutting back to him as though he's going to have something to do, but he doesn't in the scene, other than to be like. Spring break, woo! At the end, as they're fleeing to the back of their car, which again should have ended up in a gasoline fight from Zoolander. And again, I have nothing wrong with Baz Luhrmann as a whole, but we have to point this out because there are people who absolutely despise his directing style, and this is the kind of thing that these are the reasons why they hate it.
I think
have
you
not
gotta
seen
be
that.
on. You got to be on drugs or some type of
I
heavy
mean,
narcotic.
that's why it reminded me of Party Monster.
Yeah.
Like where it's like a weird gay party.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
there's a scene where he's in the chainmail, she's in like dressed up as a little angel. They're making out in like it's
An
not an
elevator.
elevator. It's like something from Star Trek. It's like right? It's this huge elevator thing, and like every time the door opens, they're like sexy farce, and people almost see them, and then they go back down another
And
floor.
that aquarium thing isn't like that scene where they first see each other. Is there I don't know. Is there some kind of trivia?
There's something fishy about it.
There is something fishy about that scene.
I'm helping.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a parallel or like a callback
No,
to the,
no,
the
I just-
original source material.
I
don't
think I
don't
remember
think so.
something about like the filming, but I don't remember what it is.
No,
No
We just
story.
really liked.
it's like Mission
Water.
Impossible 1 where they have the restaurant that's an aquarium.
You got to blow it up.
Yeah, you got to blow it up.
You
with
have to
gum.
blow it up. Yeah.
Hasta lasagna, don't get it on you.
No.
Emilio
Yeah.
Estevez's greatest death on film.
Emilio.
How many on film deaths does he have?
I think he died at the end
tragically
of-
in Mighty Ducks 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. Emilio Estevez.
The littlest duck.
lowest.
I mean, that's why it's his best picture, is
The
because he's the
loneliest
same
Sheen.
height as those kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Men at work is hard because his brother, Charlie Sheen, is a
Charlie.
foot taller than him. Wild thing.
Have you guys seen Kinky Boots?
What's
I
that
love
about?
that movie.
Is that the one with him and Charlie Sheen?
You showed me that. I
No.
watched that with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long,
Did I make you
long time
watch
ago
it?
now.
What's
Did you
kinky?
like it?
With oh god, what's that actor's
Chiwetel
name?
Ejiofor.
Ejiofor. Yeah,
Chiwetel
Chiwetel
Ejiofor.
Ejiofor.
And then there's
yeah.
the other guy who is like the main guy. I don't know. It's like as I recall, because it's been many years since I saw the movie, but it's a guy who I guess is inheriting his father's shoe factory, and he's not happy about it, and he hates it. Like he hates the business. He's very disillusioned about it all, and then he meets a sort of down and out, very charming drag queen who comes in and sort of reworks the shoe factory, and he's like, we need shoes, like we need pretty shoes that are bigger, and so they kind of rework the shoe factory to start making like
The titular kinky boots.
Yeah, kinky boots.
That's the story?
That's the
Yeah,
story.
that's the story.
Is there an evil
sticking to
villain? Like a hat?
It's a Broadway show too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no,
Kinky hats,
Kinky hats.
kinky shirts.
Kinky shirts, yeah.
Well, I mean, the problem is the evil mayor wants to tear it down and turn it into a rec center, and we just can't let that happen.
no, sir.
No.
Yeah.
So they have a car wash, you know.
Bake sale, lemonade.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wet t-shirt contest.
A dance competition that can save the world.
Well, what they have is a BMX bike competition, and so they can save the town, right?
Yeah.
I remember when.
Previous episode, Rad.
I remember when, like, y'all remember Airbud?
Yeah.
And how
There's
the-
nothing in the rule
Sure.
book that says a dog can't play
How,
basketball.
what towns used to come
Just-
together to save something?
just the mere fact that a decision, a court ruled decision, was based off of, all right, let's take the dog outside.
Dogs can't play basketball.
Right, you know. But no, at the end, where the dog has to choose between going to the scary clown and going to the boy that lost his father, he had to choose between the two, and that's how, like, in a court of law, how it was judged between the owner of the dog.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing where like the baby crawls toward one mother or the
Yeah,
other.
it's like, which one do you
the
love
baby
more?
race, yeah.
Yeah, the baby race.
Classic
Yeah.
baby race.
Baby
Yeah.
race stuff.
We watched a movie, right?
Romeo,
Yeah.
Romeo, without that Romeo.
I do like how Pete Postlethwaite foreshadows the poison by like just being shirtless and doing like gardening with a bunch of children around him.
Yeah, with a big
strong
ass
choice.
a cross.
And then he's like,
tattooed
you know
in
what
his
I
back.
need to do? Put on this barely holding on Hawaiian
And he's
shirt.
like, and kids, this is how you make poison.
The kids are like, well done.
Oh, I love the M. Emmett Walsh appearance.
Emmett
Of
Walsh.
course, he's in this.
You know what I was thinking? What a Shakespearean adaptation needed was M. Emmett Walsh. My wife and I were watching. I'm just like, holy shit, is that?
You know
is that
what? He
Emmett Walsh?
delivered those lines pretty well. It didn't sound like him, actually.
No, it did not.
What other films is he in?
Everything.
Just gonna
I
look.
recently saw him in the first Knives Out movie. Actually,
He's in Knives Out. If you want to see him as a terrifying killer, Blood Simple. He's really good in Blood Simple.
I don't know if this is Mythic
Blade
Quest.
Runner?
It's an Apple
He's in
Plus
Blade Runner,
series.
yeah.
Like he plays. He is the writer of a video game series, so he's very dramatic, over the top, and provides like this to like an actual, and it's very medieval times and stuff. But yeah, no, I guess this follows the movie of the story of Romeo and Juliet. Of course, there's some subtle differences. I guess the biggest. I mean, shout out to the Romeo's cousin. He really delivered those lines.
He was terrible.
What
Benvolio.
yes, I called him Gronk. I called him
Man,
Shakespeare
he was
Gronk.
doing a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the most jarring, terrifying moment of the movie. When they start singing "When Doves Cry," and
Oh.
That vibrato, that choir.
Man,
No, the
Yeah,
music really slaps in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Agreed.
and that's eventually what's going to be his. I mean, Moulin Rouge. That's all it is. Like, when they start doing a weird jazzy blues version of "Smells Like Teen Spirit" in that movie, where we are now, entertain us, and just like, what is happening?
Even in the Elvis movie, which is about Elvis's life,
Wait, is this the Elvis movie with the guy?
Elvis
Austin-
Stoico, the
Austin-
ice
Austin
Austin
Early.
Butler.
Austin
Yeah.
Or
Butler.
Elvis Stoico. Yeah, good Olympics reference there, Nick.
the figure skater.
Yeah.
What was the you ain't nothing but a dog, like the
Hound
like
Dog.
Hound Dog, like that movie, the Hound Dog. They did like a remix version of it, like that was like skyrocketing on the charts because of the Elvis movie. Nothing
Yeah.
to do with anything else with the movie. So I even forgot that Tom Hanks was in that movie.
Right,
Yeah,
and
it's
he
just like,
the thing about Tom Hanks in that movie, I know that another just departure from what
Romeo
the
and
movie we're
Juliet.
supposed to be talking about.
Let's talk
but
about
he, the Colonel Tom Parker, the Dutch guy that Tom Hanks played in that movie. Tom Hanks played his voice as like this weird, creepy, really quasi just
He's white?
indeterminate European accent when Tom Parker actually had like an American accent.
He's like Kentucky
that's-
Fried,
yeah, right.
yeah.
That's what he was trying to do. Like he came here,
I'll say.
and like what a weird choice from Tom Hanks. Like why did he do that?
Well, and again, just for us older people, in 2002, Elvis is like 50 years from his first hit. So they released Elvis 1, right? You remember that? and there was a song called "The Littlest Conversation," which had a remix from Junkie XL,
Right.
which hit the charts.
Yeah, right in the early 2000s, that was the thing that spurred like the Elvis revival.
The Elvis
a little more
Assance,
time,
yeah.
a little more
Also, the
let's
Ocean's
talk a little more
movie,
conversation.
Vegas.
Littlest conversation, a little more action.
And it had like it was a remix, total like early 2000s remix.
A wannabe Fatboy Slim nonsense kind of crap.
Yeah, exactly.
But and that is Baz Luhrmann in a nutshell, because that's what Moulin Rouge is. And again, that's why you give something like Jay-Z Great Gatsby, because you're like, we want it to be that 1920s movie, but we want to give it that modern flair. So we're going to take old jazz standards and you're going to DJ them up a bit to make it sound like it belongs in the 21st century. And that's kind of what this is. It's just like, but we're filming Hawaiian shirt Mexico for Italy? Like,
I mean, what was the style in '96? I mean, the limousines was happening. So this could have been the
Forest Green?
This could have been the jolts that the society needed. Like, tell me, what was going around in the mid '90s?
Third Eye Blind.
Right.
I was singing Same Turn. And ska was coming back, but not before swing.
Okay.
So the Cherry Poppin' Daddies, which is the most awful name for a band ever, was giving us
you said this Cherry Poppin' Daddies.
Yeah, that was a real
Cherry
band.
Poppin'
Yeah.
Daddies
They
had
had
a
their
hit
names
called-
announced on the radio and stuff like that. And they would say that name.
Yeah, and
actually.
they had a hit called the Zoot Suit Riot, which was a historical event where a bunch of Mexicans were shot dead by police.
in Los Angeles.
In
yeah,
Los Angeles,
exactly.
Do you guys know what pocket pool is?
Yes, masturbation.
Wait, what?
Wait,
That's not actual playing pool?
So thank you. So this weekend, I was at a gas station.
How did we take this
What
turn?
triggered you from that
What's going
conversation? What triggered you pocket pool masturbation?
Cherry Poppin' Daddies
Oh, yeah, I forgot,
made me
yeah.
think of pocket pool.
Okay, good.
So this weekend I was at a gas station.
Oh, my God.
Oh, no.
We just traveled.
Continue.
we were coming home from a trip, and I had my 7-year-old with me because he had to poop. So
As
we
one
were
does,
we
yeah.
were there, and there was this truck driver there, and he was very chatty, very friendly, like very nice, like not creepy, just very nice. And he said he'd been there for a few
Right.
days. He was waiting on his load, like it's a thing for truckers to have to like be kind of stationed somewhere to get a load to take back somewhere.
Yeah.
And he was saying he was really bored, and I was like, well, you know, my stepdad is a truck driver and he likes to play pool. So he just like finds a pool hall wherever he's waiting for his load, and he said, "Oh, I play pocket pool." And I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And then he was like, "Oh, because I have my kid there." And he's like, "I can't say what it is." And then I was like, "Oh," and I thought I knew. And yeah, I guess I figured it
Now
out.
you definitely know.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to educate everyone.
I'm glad you knew.
Wow.
Immediately.
didn't know.
It's not like my innocence
I
is
thought
gone.
I thought it was like tiny pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so of a sort. Yeah. After a
So
fashion,
imagine
sure.
the gesture of pool, but in one's pocket.
Oh.
I'm editing this episode. I'm going to keep that silence. That's just a lot of work. You know, anyways.
I mean,
Disgusting.
no, it is.
Like, yeah.
I thought it was more like
No,
that.
Well,
So
that-
her hand gesture
you
is
could do that.
fondling.
Yeah,
I know
sure.
this is a very
Yeah,
audio.
but when do you
this
do
is-
that
this is-
gesture when playing pool?
This is an audio
I mean, that's not
recording.
ineffective.
when you're picking up the ball.
How are you doing pocket
Sure.
pool?
Been there. What?
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, okay, I get
Stop.
Okay, stop.
That.
For those of us,
The
audio
webcam
visual.
from the NSA is going to
Yeah,
be very
there we go.
confused.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay, so anything like specific we should talk about? I mean, we can talk about Mercutio being shot.
Well, I do like the death scene.
His?
Mercutio,
Yes.
like, and again, it's Shakespeare, so no one ever dies like instantly. They die in like minutes and minutes. But Mercutio
Tis
eats
but
all
a
that
scratch.
scenery.
But if you think about it, it happened on a stage.
Yeah, they were on a stage.
I like that visualization.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it
I
happened
agree.
on a stage where
Right.
it all
Yeah.
goes
Like
with
yeah,
Yeah, they're
and
hanging
the
out on-
line of if you call for me tomorrow, you'll find me a grave man. That's one of the
Yeah.
Shakespearean lines I
Yeah.
remembered from actually reading the.
It's-
work.
and he delivers it well. And again, there are some actors who are not actors, but the people who can act are really good in that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and Mercutio steals it. I think DiCaprio's good as Romeo. Claire Danes, I wish she did more than I watched. I mean, she was in The Americans, I guess, most recently, and I didn't watch much of that, but she is really good in this, especially when she's having her "Should I Kill Myself" monologue. Yeah. She fucking steals the shit. Like, she's really good. And of course, DiCaprio's death scene is excellent. Like, these people show up. Dennehy. When I think of Shakespeare, I don't necessarily think of Brian Dennehy, but like the two dads going at it, they're really good too. Pete Postlethwaite shows up. Like, there's some people
And
here.
who's the actor that played the prince? Hold on. Von D. Curtis Hall.
Yeah.
Oh, the police.
The
chief?
police
Yeah.
chief, or they call the prince. I think he is, if I'm not mistaken, in the new Captain America movie as like the old black Cap in the 80s and stuff. And no, he killed it too. And he kind of reminds me of like just Denzel with his just like, because I've only seen trailers of the Hamlet, the Coen Brothers Hamlet, but oh my God, I'm so excited that Denzel is going to be in the Gladiator 2 sequel. I can't just him in a French or English accent is just really cool to me.
He was great.
Yeah. But no, I people did bring their, as much as I flare on Jamie Kennedy in this movie. His Shakespearean's not that bad. That squirmy, like, oh no, it's a star. I liked it. You know,
It's like mid-90s punkish kind of thing. I mean, there's a lot of histrionics and screaming in this movie. I think, just cut down a little bit on the screaming.
he was
yelling.
actually in Scream. Did the Scream come
Jamie
after
Kennedy
this
was?
or before this?
Would have been after, I think.
I'm trying to see.
97?
I'm trying to think of the trajectory of Jamie Kennedy, and then of course the fall from The Mask.
Yeah, when did the experiment start happening?
I think mid 2000s. Yeah, because it was after.
Yes. I remember where I was when Jimmy Kennedy started experimenting.
Ugh.
I'm just waiting for the Chris Nolan movie after Oppenheimer is Jamie Kennedy.
The experiment.
Have we done Malibu's Most Wanted?
You know what? No.
I'm afraid to do it but I think we should try it, or at least watch it together. Because
no. We have Jamie Kennedy movies. We haven't done any Rob Schneider movies. First he was a man, then he was an animal, then he was a woman. Now he's an eraser. We haven't done any of those movies. We haven't done any. We haven't done Biodome with Pauly Shore or.
yeah, for some reason I'm thinking Centennial Man, but that's Robin Williams.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Bicentennial
was
Man.
thinking
Bicentennial
about
Man.
showing that
Encino
to my
Man.
kids.
Encino Man is
Ooh, I
Brendan
love
Fraser.
Yeah.
Encino Man.
Encino Man
We
is
should
the-
do Encino Man and Earth Girls Are Easy together. I feel like those
Those
go
they
together.
fit nicely together. Yeah. There's a lot of movies where Brendan Fraser has to learn what a TV is, isn't there? Because he also is in
Blast from the
Blast from the
Past.
Past.
Yeah, with Sissy Spacek from 1999.
And isn't it Christopher
George's Jungle.
Walken plays his dad?
I believe so.
Maybe
for
he
Blast
really
Press, yeah.
doesn't know what a TV
I've actually
is.
never seen
He's
that one.
Canadian.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have TV in
They don't
Canada.
have TVs in Canada.
Oh, is that-
Degrassi is a play.
Have you guys seen The Whale? Who's seen The Whale?
I
I
haven't seen
refuse to watch The Whale.
I mean, it's
can't.
just such a
I took
crazy
it-
thing that I think I would just. I've heard too much about it.
I'd take your word for it.
I mean, the honest answer is I haven't seen it because to me it feels like Oscar bait, and I don't
Sure.
generally watch Oscar bait movies. Though I love Brendan Fraser, and
Yeah.
I'm glad he's back in
I
pictures.
feel like it's probably not like what you think of when you say I love Brendan Fraser.
yeah.
well,
Like
the first 10 minutes apparently are some they're a little surprising.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, see, the problem is what I wanted is the Batgirl movie because it's him, and
Yes.
it's Michael Keaton,
Yes.
and I'm like, that's what I want to see him in is like in a bad hero movie.
Or,
Like that's where he
or
should
in
be.
the Mummy movie again, you know, or
I saw that he's signed up with somebody to do something soon.
I hope so.
That's the news.
Whoa.
I need more Brendan Fraser in my life. It sucks
Oh, I
what,
used to
what
love
Hollywood
him
did to
so
him and stuff like
much.
that. Yeah.
I mean, Tarzan? Come on.
I forgot about
Sorry,
Tarzan.
Come
George
on.
of the
That was fun.
Jungle.
Oh, George of the Jungle.
George
Not
of the
Tarzan.
He's
My bad.
basically Tarzan.
Which one's the one
But
where
funny.
he makes a deal with the devil?
Bedazzled.
Bedazzle.
Good one.
With
Yeah.
Good
Elizabeth
one.
Hurley?
Elizabeth
Oh,
Hurley.
she's
His
looking good in that.
range.
Oh,
She
man.
plays like 12 different characters in that movie.
She's looking good.
Wait, was Tommy Boy with him?
No, he's not in time.
No, not Tommy Boy. I'm thinking of Funny Bone.
Yes.
Funny Bone. I think it's
No,
Funny
you're thinking
Bone.
of Monkey Bone.
Monkey
Monkey
Bone.
Bone.
That's so funny because Monkey Bone also popped into my head, but that's Chris Kattan.
Romeo plus Juliet. Yeah. I guess it's a tale as old as time. So the thing, I'll tell you what did piss me off. What also pisses me off
Drinking
about
poison for 20 men.
it's just when
Laying next to your
Romeo
girl
gets banished,
as
obviously,
she wakes back up.
and he's
Romeo is
banished
dead.
and he's in that wasteland, and I just hate that exchange where the friar can't get him the message, and he's just it's
Yeah,
just,
like
it's
half
just
the
that
time-
whole-
96,
that's-
man.
Yeah, it's just that whole
Come
exchange
on.
where like, dude, just fucking get your mail.
Drive out
like,
there, bro.
Seriously, like, how are you not getting your mail?
The mail system has also like been a real pain for me too lately.
Yeah.
So like I
You're
really
right.
relate to that.
So it's just like and it's just like literally, and just I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Hot Fuzz before, but
Yep.
there's like
Yes.
there's a scene. Oh, it has Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost.
Nick
they
Frost,
they do this trilogy of movies, and the Cornetto series, and Hot Fuzz basically. The town puts on a terrible play, and the scene is basically
greater
this, the greater good. Basically, the scene just plays out where Romeo and Juliet, which is like, "Oh no, Juliet, I must die," and then she wakes up it's like, "Oh, dust poison has our lips," and it's. I'm surprised we didn't do Shakespeare accents in this podcast.
Forsooth. No, I was doing Jamie Kennedy's Shakespearean accent the whole time.
Yeah.
Could you tell?
No,
Forsooth, bro.
cousin.
One light through yonder window breaks, bro.
It's interesting.
Juliet is the east, and I am line. Bill and Ted's most excellent Shakespeare. The princesses, bro.
That scene where he's getting hit by the handbag over and over in the head.
It was the
It's so
Zoolander
good.
scene.
And then he pulls the gun. And she's like, eek.
But no, I do say after Romeo gets banished, coincidentally enough, after Mercutio dies, the movie does drag a bit. I don't know. Is it just
Well, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
know what's
it's
gonna
just
hap-
like,
yeah.
you know, just
yeah,
he's in the crypt. I mean, whatever.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
come on.
yeah. Romeo and Juliet. Nomeo and Juliet. That's better. Haven't seen it.
Oh, dude.
better movie.
Sorry, Brendan Fraser.
What's up,
Brendan Fraser's not in this movie.
No, he
But
should
you
be.
guys watch Scrubs?
Oh,
The-
oh my God.
He plays what's his name, like Cox's brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law, yeah.
And then he dies, and there's this whole episode where like Cox refuses to acknowledge he's dead. Dude, I cried like a
Yeah,
like a baby
and
the
that,
whole
I
time.
remember watching that actual live because Scrubs is
I
a
did
huge,
too, yeah.
and just
Yeah.
like the
watched
jaw
Scrubs.
dropping of that realization. It was like he's been dead all along. It's
So
just,
Scrubs is better than it deserves to be. It's,
Absolutely.
It's Bill Lawrence and a few
not Greg
others.
Daniels, yeah, sorry.
But they're the people who created it are the people who did Lego Movie, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs,
Cougar
They-
Town, Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Clone High. They were
Clone
behind
High.
Clone High. That's why there's
Yeah.
so many voices from them on Clone High. Like, and it's very funny. Now, how do I even put this nicely? I can't stand Garden State anymore.
Oh, man, I haven't watched that in so long.
But like, it's just, it's a world that gave us those characters, and I don't even know. I like Zach Braff fine. It's just he went outside of his comfort zone. He gave me the shins, and I'm happy about that. But past that, I just
Him and Florence Pugh dated. If you think about that, that is weird.
those T-Mobile commercials or whatever they are with
No,
Donald Faison
Faison.
and him, and now also Aquaman. Those are a lot.
Yeah. I don't think Jason Momoa actually did that backflip, guys. I don't think he did that in the commercial.
Although, you know what? If you told me that was the only real thing in the commercial, I'd also believe that.
I guess-
Because
I guess-
Jason Momoa, I
Was that
believe,
the Super Bowl commercial? I guess I didn't
yeah,
see that
where they
fully.
start singing essentially once I had cable. Like, it's once, twice,
It's
only
like
a
the-
lady, but it's
yeah.
a parody. Sarah Chalke was in that. She was hot.
Garden State, my goodness.
How long are we talking about Romeo plus Juliet minus
Okay,
Mercutio?
let's talk about the end.
Yeah.
So they end up killing themselves in what looks like a Madonna music video. It's in a church. There's 7,000 candles.
Yeah, it's straight out of the Like a Prayer music video.
Yeah. It's funny because you both thought of Like a Prayer.
Yeah.
Gonna take you there.
If Juliet was wearing like a bodice, I get, but like she's just like, and like Juliet's
what,
looking.
so to just what was the Friar and Juliet's plan?
So, assuming he got the FedEx, she essentially is faking her death.
Right.
And as someone with 2 kids, the idea of sleeping for 20 and 4 hours, phenomenal. I am there yesterday. I'm going to take this potion and I will appear to be as dead for 20 plus 4 hours. Great. I'll wake up Wednesday and I'll be refreshed.
Why? What day it is?
Today? Why today? It's Christmas Day. Meanwhile, Romeo, who is apparently passing the time by hitting a rock with a cricket bat.
Yeah, what was that? What was he doing?
looked like
just
he
a
was
wood
in-
plank.
Playing
He
a
just
stick.
throws a.
What's the cult
You can't be
movie
that
about
bored,
the guy
man.
driving through the desert? Like
Rubber?
what's that?
Mad Max.
No, it's like
The Australian movie
I don't know. No.
with drag
like-
queens.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. That's Priscilla
Train.
Queen
The
of the
Priscilla
Desert.
Queen
Not
of the
that.
Desert. No, not that.
It's
Oh,
like,
sorry.
It's like a guy. And
Fear
he's
and
got
Loathing in
like
Las Vegas.
A car with no top. It's a convertible.
He drove through the
And they're
desert
driving
in
through
a
the
car with no
desert,
top.
and
With a
he's
horse with no name.
he's smoking cigarettes.
Fear and Loathing in Las
Fear and
Vegas.
Loathing-
Okay. All right.
That
Fear
is
and
like,
Loathing.
that
Okay.
is like,
I just
Hunter-
bought the
Hunter
4K
S.
of that.
Hunter
Yeah.
S.
One of my
Thompson.
favorite movies
Okay.
of all time. Yeah.
like
Sure.
watch-
That's where it looked like he
drink
was.
drink abstinence and watch that movie.
Abstinence.
Absence.
Absence.
When it comes to alcohol, abstinence is not for me.
Have a
Okay.
nice glass of lukewarm water and watch this movie.
And just
yeah.
watch that movie. Yeah.
Abstinence
Just
is
take a
pretty-
gummy and watch that movie.
We're outside
I-
of Barstow near the edge of the desert.
Yeah.
When
Never
drugs
had
began to
absinthe.
take hold.
I
I've had
was
absinthe.
very interested in it because Marilyn Manson used to drink it a lot.
I have had some actual absinthe.
I have absinthe here. I can
Really,
give you-
like
had-
real European wormwood absinthe.
I'll do you better. I had snake oil New Orleans
Really?
once.
I had a
And-
good bit of some.
I drank tequila with a worm in it.
One of my friends went. Yeah,
He is
that's why they
smelling
got that
the
licorice
absinthe
smell.
bottle.
My goodness.
I'm getting chills just
absinthe.
looking at it.
Absinthe. This is absinthe. If I'm
This
looking,
is abstinence.
so the bottle that we're looking at is a green bottle that said Lucid, which makes
Green
sense.
anise,
Um,
sweet fennel.
Yeah. When I took it in New Orleans, 2 hours later, I was at the Alley Cat screaming Outcast songs because I felt as if
Which ones?
Bombs over Baghdad.
roses and
Your shit don't stink.
I just had this one. He could have been like 21 because he was there with all his friends and that said they had a sash that said 21 and he just really enjoyed my performance.
good clue.
I think I know it's like he must have been 21 because everyone around him, the girl next to him that had a sash that says 21 person.
Are you a detective?
Nothing gets past me. And no, but I felt like at that night, I felt that there were like critters on my neck.
Was it praying mantises?
So-
This was praying mantises, yes. That's what
The first time I had absinthe,
did to
I was
me.
in Berlin, as one does, and we were on a pub crawl, and each bar had a different like drink for €1 kind of thing. Like, so you went around. So the first one was beer, and the second one was, and in between, this guy had in his backpack what I can only imagine is nightmares, but it was like Sunny D orange juice, like the cheapest orange juice and vodka, and he would just pour out shots as we walked in between.
Hell
You
yeah.
had to pay to get on the pub crawl, then you paid in each bar. But the last place I went before I broke off was an absinthe bar, and it was in an old German wine cave. So we're like, there's stone everywhere, and I'm like, this stuff isn't affecting me because we'd already done a Jaeger bar, which is already a bad idea.
Jaeger bar.
I funneled
And,
Jaeger.
and so like I have an absinthe shot, and they're giving us small shots because of course for €1 they're not going to waste money on us. But like I don't remember like hallucinating. But then I went outside, and everything, it's like the proportions were off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
doing like Monty Python Minister of Civil
You're
Law,
moving very
trying to
slowly.
scat over the curb, and I'm like very like, oh no, the curb is so
You're
far
moving
away.
very ponderously and slowly. I remember
felt
like running
like-
up steps, and I'm like, what am I doing right
Wait,
now?
does
It's like, this
cockroaches-
isn't right.
Does that
Yeah.
drink do that? But I
Yeah.
heard that
Not
that
this
the,
one.
the
It's-
stuff
it's-
that
it's
you
how
can
it's
actually
prepared.
buy
What- isn't that-
is
I mean,
not
that's
like
like,
that.
I mean, I'll tell you what. The honest answer is it's just a liquor with something else. And wormwood is actually not really a hallucinogen, so I think it's mostly in your head. But again, you can smell it. It just smells like
It tastes like
licorice.
it tastes like a really
taste it?
sour.
Am I
Why
gonna-
not?
Take it to the head.
Now I will say no.
It's just
I mean,
licoricey.
no. The answer is you can, but when you serve it properly,
I was gonna smell it.
like when you do an absinthe shot, they add water and sugar to it. So I would not take it straight.
Do
I
it.
would sweeten it and add a little water because that's how you actually do it.
if you take a shot, I'll take a shot.
And for those of you in the metro area, I will plug a place called Liberty Sandwich in Decatur. Liberty Sandwich in Decatur is I used to work
Sandwich
as
shop.
Well, I used to work as a restaurant guy. I was a bar back, and it's a industry place. And so, like, they're open till 4 a.m. so that when restaurants close, the industry goes there. Like, so it's all filled with waiters and waitresses and stuff. But sandwiches are $5 flat. Cocktails are $5 flat. So they have a icy machine that does Jack and Coke Frosties. You can get a Mexican Coke, and in the neck, they just top the neck off with rum. And they do root beer with absinthe. And that's the best way to have it. Yeah. Sure. Because it's the sweetened, it's the carbonated, it's the watered down, and it's just that little hint of licorice on top of a delicious root beer. And I do have Dad's root beer, so if you want one of those after. Anyway, so Romeo plus Juliet.
Like home.
Now, as far as a tag team, I think Romeo and Juliet is pretty strong, but you cannot beat Hamlet and Macbeth to teaming up. Now, after 3 rounds, my money's still on Hamlet.
You
Guy's
think
a
so?
prick, strong,
Yeah.
sword fighter.
Also, they're kids. No, I mean, I think that, like, no, okay, Romeo does kill the cousin.
He does.
Yeah.
Juliet is very love passionate. I don't know. Could you, like, okay, I guess obviously my fiance and my cats, I'd die for my family and stuff. It just a girl that I just met and made out with a little bit.
What about if you were 15?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Trying to get laid in high school, you'd probably do a lot of stupid things.
I was a late bloomer, and when I say hopeless romantic, I was also a guy too, so my head was in the gutters. I wouldn't kill myself. I'd like slap myself. But I wouldn't
Well, but
kill
he
myself.
thought she had killed herself for her, like from her love
her,
for him.
yeah.
Like, so that's where it really it goes south when people start getting killed, and it's like there's no turning back, and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, and I think seeing this story in a modern setting also makes it seem that much more ridiculous. Like, them considering killing each other, or not killing each other. That would be a different movie.
Just offing each other. Yeah.
Killing themselves.
Killing themselves
Yeah.
for each other. It just seems so pointless.
Oh, sure. I mean,
in a
it's
modern-
also kind of ridiculous that the chief of police banishes a murderer. Well, you're not charged or anything.
Get out of
Just
here.
go away.
You had to think
Come on.
about it. His homie killed his friend, and he killed his homie, and then
Banishment.
Banishment. It's just banishment. It's just
That's
like
it.
for a wanted sign. It's
Just
like,
real
don't come-
clean.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Never come back.
Yeah.
Leave and never return.
No.
I'll also make a quick correction to myself because I'm bad at life.
Have you been
Bill
banished?
Lawrence created Scrubs, but he worked with Lord and Miller to make Clone High. And Lord and Miller were the people who did Lego Movies, Spider-Verse, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Mitchell versus the Machine, all that stuff.
I saw Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs too.
They're both good. I mean,
Mitchell's versus the Machines is really good.
Mitchell versus the Machine is good. I like the 2 Spider-Verse movies. They're up for Academy
yep,
Awards
yep,
as
those are
well. They're Academy Award winners. The guys who made Clone High have won Academy Awards. So, yeah. And the woman who is now the showrunner for the Clone High show did a bunch of Mickey Mouse shorts, which are very funny. Yeah.
So maybe we
Why
were
did I
right
do
when
that?
we were teenagers. Maybe we
How
were
so?
onto something,
Well, I mean,
like
okay.
in Clone High.
We were, and we're smarter than them. I will say, okay, we can wrap this up here because we've been talking in circles for a long time about nothing. I like this movie. It's well put together, and I'll go first because I'd never go first.
Do in a British Shakespearean accent.
So I feel like this movie is very, it's tight, it's well made. I think it highlights well what it feels like to be a teenager in love. The problem is there's a lot of bullshit at the front end. And the camera nonsense establishing a town which we don't spend any time in is awful because it's not even Verona. Verona's in Italy, not Mexico. The problem is, why establish something that we don't care about? Now, the characters and most of the actors are very good, but Jamie Kennedy can walk a long walk off a very short pier. However, I will say, Leo DiCaprio, there's a reason why he went from this to Titanic by a competent director. In the end, though, I will say, I think the Italian Roselletti version, whatever it's called, is better as far as if you want to learn the play. This is different enough to keep your interest, even if you don't care about Shakespeare, which I think is a plus. Keiko?
Yeah, I'm undecided. I don't know. Like, it's certainly interesting. It's certainly weird. It's maybe a little too weird. Like, maybe, like, for me, something doesn't quite go. I don't know what it is. But maybe it's the 90s setting, like, where I'm like, where I grew up in that, and I'm just like, that wasn't, the 90s weren't like that. We didn't talk like that. But
4C, would you like to be going to try the big gulp at Circle K? I hear they have brought back the McRib.
so, yeah, like, I guess if you have spare time and you like weird, trippy movies, you should watch it. But if you don't, I would pass on this one.
Wherefore art thou, bro?
So,
I'm helping.
yeah.
No, you are.
I does protest. No.
Too much.
So, okay, if you're just looking at it just as a film, first act, second act was really good. It kind of falls and drags in the third act, just like any other film. I think it's a really cool imagination, just coming being as a theater kid, just coming this into life. I do think they should have worked on better gunplay / swordplay. I just, because every time they draw a gun, they're drawing the sword. So it was just kind of cool. They're just, I don't know. Oh, maybe that was a really cool part of the movie too. But the one thing I didn't like was just, like you said, it was the quick cuts actions, and then they would do that, then they would have like a really long drag of whether it be a monologue or something like that. So yeah, but no, I think all the acting was really on par, minus Jamie Kennedy, but I think we just hate on him just because he's Jamie Kennedy. But yeah,
I think this was just a lot of yelling and overacting and over exaggerated facial expressions for me. I don't know. I mean, I think you can take the material, even as like a teenage angst kind of movie, and it doesn't have to be so hysterical all the time. I mean, I know that I guess the only other Luhrmann movie I've seen is Moulin Rouge, and it's been a while. But I don't think this was like that crazy over the top with the acting and I don't know, just crazy facial expressions and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. So, I don't know. Sort of a relic of the wannabe edgy mid-90s kind of to me.
Aren't we all?
But trust him on the sunscreen. I mean, I'm not going to add to you. I'm just going to say I think you're right. It's just, and at least Moulin Rouge was a vaguely original story. Like, when we're learning Shakespeare, we're not like, you know what this needs? A rap battle.
a gunfight.
Yeah, just trust.
So much gunplay.
So much gunplay.
Ecstasy.
Yeah, trust him on the sunscreen, though. So I'm not really assigning these, but like we kind of started with, I think, Matt's pick, which was The Mask. And then this was your choice.
Randomly.
Yeah.
I was like, this one.
And next week, we're doing Daniel's choice, which is Big Trouble in Little China. And then we're going to end the month with my choice, which is Batman 1989. So thank you for sticking with us in our 11th season, which we're starting here. And keep sharing us, keep liking us, keep subscribing, keep giving it to new people. If you're at a bar hanging out with someone, just add it to their phone. Don't even tell them. Pretend you're giving them contact information and subscribe to our podcast.
Right. First, give them absinthe.
That's right.
Yes.
Then subscribe to this podcast on their phone.
That's right. But advice is a form of nostalgia, which is why we do this podcast every week. So thanks, everyone. I'm going to keep quoting that sunscreen song.
Myopia Movies is a podcast production of Dude Letter Podcasting and is produced by Nick Hoffman. It is edited by Nerd Trinette and Daniel Sudis and is hosted by Nick Hoffman, with production assistance by Matthew Quinn, Daniel Sudis, and Nerd Trinette. The theme song is Surf Shimmy by Kevin MacLeod from incomptech.com. Licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 4 license, Creative Commons /licenses by/4.0. Thanks.